Hey guys, Kevin here. So if you have a beard, or somebody in your life that you love has a beard, and you haven't gone to thebeardstruggle.com and used our exclusive coupon code TORTURE19 at checkout to save 19% off your entire order, what are you doing? Why not? I don't understand. They have everything you could possibly need for your beard or for the beard of the person you love. Growth kits, oils, washes, creams, butters, trimmers, straighteners, everything you could need for your beard, your hair, your face, your entire body. And it's quality, the best products you can buy. Over 10,000 Trustpilot reviews with a score of 4.7 out of 5. I mean, you know that you're going to get the best quality products you could possibly get for not just your beard, but your entire body. And with their 90-day money-back oath of honor and our exclusive coupon code TORTURE19, use at checkout, again, to save 19% off your entire order. If there's anything you don't like, which I don't see happening, but just in case, if there's something you don't like, you're not 100% satisfied with, within 90 days, send it back and you get your money back. It's just that easy. So what are you doing? Go to thebeardstruggle.com, use our exclusive coupon code TORTURE19 at checkout, and as Dan would say, sort your fucking beard out. The subject of this episode will be some of the satellite facilities that were set up around Asia and the capture and experimentation on Allied forces. We'll see how quickly everything can be cleared away once the tide of the war changed. You'll meet a couple new key players in the attempt to gather intel on Japan's biological warfare division, and we'll ask the question, what happens to the horrible people that commit such atrocities after the war is all over? Answer? If you have valuable information that a superpower can exploit, you'll most likely go on to become incredibly successful. Yeah, you'll probably be pretty angry with this one. Today we give you Episode 3 of Unit 731. Kevin Young.
This week's episode, we asked the age-old question, should traffic wardens be armed?
No. They are here. But so is everybody else. And this is torture. Oh, shit.
There's a great English TV show, a comedy show that was out years ago, with two of the greatest British comedians ever, as far as I'm concerned, called Bottom. Did you ever hear of Bottom?
I have not.
Look it up. That's where I got that from. There's a bit in it where they're recording this video and he comes out to the top of the stairs and he's like, hello and good morning. Should traffic wardens be armed? And he's like, in the studio, and he falls down the stairs and lands in the toilet. It's really fucking funny. But the whole show is absolutely brilliant. It's Rick Mayall's one of the leads, and he's just so fucking funny. You ever see Drop Dead Fred?
Yeah.
It's Drop Dead Fred. It's
That's Fred.
Actor.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I should look it up. It is fucking brilliant.
I'll have to do that. Bottom.
Bottom, yeah.
There's
a few bits of British comedy in there you might not get, but you'll be okay.
Maybe, but that'll be all right. That's not a... It's like, I didn't understand that reference. Next.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, how are you doing? What you been up to?
Still sick.
Yeah.
Again. Well, sick again.
Again, yeah.
Cleared up.
Yeah.
Got it again. Spent the weekend in Birmingham. Have a lovely little story. Funny old story to tell about that. Didn't see Sam Breers anywhere. You know, I assumed because, you know, I was in England, I'd meet somebody who knew him. You know, but
yeah,
no, people were friendly to me. It's the first time I felt that in a while from the English, you know, the Irish. I felt that. They held a door open for me. It didn't stand on my neck.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's progress, is what they call it. Progress.
That's it. I'm at the bleeding.
Next
all
thing
over
you know,
the
they'll
table.
treat you like a human being.
Oh shit! I'm at the bleeding all over the table.
Oh
on
yeah.
my desk. Yep.
Just before it came on, everybody, the cat got him.
Actually, I have a funny story about a cat getting me as well.
Huh?
Yeah, sorry. So how are you before I go telling my stupid...
Oh, I'm just
story?
exactly like you. Sick. Again. I was sick last time, but this is a different sick. This is a new one. So that's the problem with recording every 2 weeks of every week, is that the illnesses come and then go and then come back in between sessions. So no weeks off from the shit. It'll get better. It's warmer. It's supposed to be warmer. I guess it's supposed to get cold again, but it's warmer right now. So
hopefully we can hope and we can pray to the baby Jesus, who I 100% believe in. That
little baby. I like thinking about Jesus wearing a tuxedo T-shirt, front row at Leonard Skinner. I like to party. I like Jesus to party. Thank you, little baby Jesus. Anyway, tell me about a cat getting you.
Mike Honcho. Yeah. Actually, started playing one of those racing sim games. This isn't a cat. You have to make your own team in it, and I call it Mike Honcho Racing. What you call it? Yeah, the neighbour cat that keeps coming around and is all friendly and stuff like that. And I went outside to it and was having a cigarette, and he came over and was like, "Oh, rubs and all this, looking for rubs." So I was giving him, rubbing his head and all that. I obviously touched him somewhere that he didn't like, and he didn't bite me. He punched me. Now I mean, full on, like Mike Tyson swing, right? And he caught me here on this knuckle here, not the one that's all bleeding. Caught me here, right? And it is still a couple of days later really fucking sore. Like it obviously caught me right properly. You know,
right between the knuckles.
I thought I fucking sprained my knuckle or something. It was like I couldn't straighten it for half the day. It was really bad.
Just go to the emergency room. What happened? Got in a fight.
Fucking cat
See the other
me.
guy.
Yeah.
He's adorable.
Exactly. Little bastard. He's a bruiser. Like he's a big fucker.
Yeah.
Speaking of fuckers, hello Sooty. But yeah, funny Birmingham story. So we were going over for Alison's cousin's birthday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And booked our flights, all that stuff. Went to check in for the flight the night before, only to discover that Alison's passport is out of date.
Yeah.
Now, it went out of date around the time we moved, so we didn't think of them.
No.
But the problem was, we were like, oh, we just not go. But then we remembered we booked everything with her mother to come with us. So that would have meant then that her mother in her mid-70s would have been going on the plane alone, on all the trains alone, to the hotels alone.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. So Connor and I went, abandoned herself at home for the weekend. So I basically went out on the piss with my mother-in-law all weekend.
I still hold fast to the idea that she did it on purpose.
Yeah, I'd say so.
She's getting rid of all these fuckers for a weekend.
Yeah, and the cats were nice to her for once, as opposed to surrounding me. Sody, if you hit that cable, I fucking swear to God, the microphone cable is precarious right where it is.
It took forever to get everything set up.
Yeah. And all I see is him going over to the PC like,
what is it? Trying to push it down.
dickhead.
I'm going to try to contain the coughs as much as I can.
Yeah, same here. I'll mute myself whenever it
Yeah.
happens. Get out of it. Bastard.
I got, for people who aren't watching, I have Captain America punching Hitler, and Dan has Bob's Burgers.
And a Cadbury's hat.
I want that.
Oh, yeah.
I want the burger with wings painting that's currently behind your head right now. That is in the restaurant. I want that to hang on my wall. Yeah, that one right there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I want that. I want that one, and I want the sailboat painting from the Simpsons house.
Ha! Yeah, that'd be great.
I think that'd be fun. I think those would be fun. I imagine you can get them. I imagine that they're probably not hard to get. Probably paint it myself, but it would turn out looking like a fucking 3-year-old did it.
Huh. Yeah, I wouldn't even attempt it.
My wife
Yeah.
would probably do it. She's a good artist. You know, what you can do. Anyway, I guess we got a little bit to cover. So we'll just jump right into it. Everybody's sick and tired of listening to us just yammer about
No, they're not.
nothing. No, they're not. They listen. They come for a reason.
Yeah, that's 90% of why they're here. That's why people pay extra.
Yeah, so once we start talking about the actual content, that's when they turn it off. They're just here for the 10 minutes of banter in the beginning. Then they shut it off, and they're like, "Well, I don't know. It was like, well, what's this podcast you listen to about? I don't know. I have no idea what they talk about after the first 10 minutes. Because once they stop bantering, I quit listening.
Ah, look.
How horrible life would you have? I listen to podcasts for the banter. If they have anything of substance, I don't want any of that. Do me no learning.
Should listen to the torture podcast. What's it about? Banter. Not about torture? I don't know. Skip that part.
Oh, fuck. Now, we had stated at the end of the last episode, Unit 731 wasn't the only site where horrible things were happening. It was the flagship, sure, and it was most definitely the worst of the lot, but Ishii had set up several other satellite facilities all around Asia, like Unit 1644, which was established in, wait for it, Nanking, China in 1939. Yeah. Imagine some
We've gone full circle.
good stuff. Yeah, good stuff happened there. It included laboratories, holding cells, incinerators, and testing facilities that resembled a smaller version of 731s. They focused more on adapting biological weapons for China's warmer southern climate, but still tested with cholera, plague, typhoid, paratyphoid, dysentery, and smallpox. And as we already know, they had plenty of test subjects at their disposal. A few 100,000 of them. Unit 1855 in Beijing, established in the early 1940s, this unit primarily studied plague, cholera, typhoid, and anthrax, investigating ways to enhance the virulence and environmental durability of these pathogens to ensure they remained lethal during transport and deployment. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, that's the worst thing, is to get all these diseases and everything, and then transport them, and turns out that they went bad. What happens if a virus goes bad? Does it get worse,
yeah.
or does it get better?
Or is it like sour cream, where it's just a completely different thing? It's not actually sour cream.
It's like, well, if poison goes bad, does it kill you worse, or does it? What happens?
It becomes the antidote. That's what happens. It's reverse.
There you go.
Just imagine it might be like that movie
bottle?
Wizard, where with Rob Schneider or Roy Scheider even, where he's transporting the explosives in the truck across the Amazon or some shit. I can't remember who's transporting him. All right, it's like one of those super bumhole clenching movies. The whole thing is they're driving the truck and they can't drive too fast or have something that's very volatile thing. And imagine that's what the guys were like, driving trucks around with this crap in the back of it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Every time you hit a fucking bump.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're good. How would you know? How do you know? It's a virus. It's not going to like, hey, guys.
Yeah, exactly,
You don't know.
Do you smell polio? No. Keep going.
Is that dysentery? No, I farted. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. Just checking. They would store and distribute biological agents to Japanese forces in northern China. Oh, fuck.
Damn that game.
In 86, Unit 8604 in Guangzhou was known as NAMI Unit, focused on pathogens such as cholera, typhoid, bubonic plague, anthrax, dysentery, and smallpox. But according to a Chinese witness, they also dabbled in starving prisoners to death, seeing how long one could survive on water alone. Set up at the Shongzhan Medical University, which I'm sure is the exact pronunciation of that word.
It is. I just Googled it.
You just Google it.
I was waiting for you to say it.
It said that they had a pond of chemicals inside the compound that was used to dissolve the bodies of victims as it wasn't equipped with an incinerator. Just throw them in the pond. And the bodies just bubble and bubble and bubble. So fucking hell. Like Breaking Bad with their barrels.
Yeah. It'd be really funny. You just see your man Jasper from The Simpsons sitting in it. Let me turn on the bubbles.
That's a bad one. That's a bubbling. Unit 9420 in Singapore, which was occupied by the Japanese in 1940, known as Tama Unit. It was situated in a building now occupied by the Drug Administration Division of the Ministry of Health. Just, yeah, kind of. Well, I mean, I guess all the pathogens that they need to collect so they can have them there to study, they're already there. So, I mean,
the Ministry of Health connected to the Ministry of Ill Health.
Yeah. So we need a sample.
They cure you.
We need a sample of smallpox. I'll just scrape some off the wall still left from World War II.
Wall.
I've been putting that on my bagel. What? No, don't do that. You need to label things in the refrigerator better.
You use that tongue on the end of the stick thing.
Callback. They conducted biological research tailored to tropical diseases like malaria and dengue fever with the use of mosquitoes, and it functioned as a forward logistical hub for spreading biological agents to Southeast Asia. Local populations were devastated by field tests where infected mosquitoes were set loose on villages. So there is a very good chance that malaria and dengue fever outbreaks that still happen in Thailand and other parts of Southeast Asia, the mosquitoes that cause those quite possibly could be in the lineage of the mosquitoes that were set free by the Japanese during World War II.
So when they set them free, I'm assuming was it to infect people, or was it just because we're finished with them, get rid of them?
No. It was to see how well they infected people.
Oh, yeah, that's all right.
Didn't do anything.
I was just thinking. Sorry, I probably kind of half missed you saying that. Apologies, but I was just thinking it's kind of like, how stupid are you that you kind of go, that'd be okay.
What do I do with this bag of mosquitoes? I don't know. Throw it out the window.
Yeah. Well, look, they only live for 24 hours out in the wild. They'll be okay.
They'll be all right. What damage could they do?
Yeah.
516 Chemical Warfare Unit, which was less a satellite facility and more a hub for experimentation for the Army's Chemical Warfare Unit, located in Yodobashi-ku, Tokyo. This is where Unit 731 would experiment with mustard gas. The gas itself evaporates from a brown, oily liquid that has the smell of garlic or horseradish, hence the name mustard gas, because...
Goes well on hot dogs.
Yes. It's designated to be dispersed as a spray in a low concentration of vapor, so low as to be practically odorless. It will cause severe eye discomfort for up to 12 hours. But higher doses cause more severe and longer-lasting eye damage, even blindness. Skin damage takes 6 to 12 hours to appear. Huge fluid-filled blisters form, which burst and are followed by ulcers. The body becomes heavily pigmented, that's not a word, pigmented.
Pigmentified. Pigmentification.
As if overexposed to the sun. It comes with throbbing pains, with symptoms lasting as long as 4 weeks. It's a
nice.
Bad month. What happened to you? Bad mustard. Whole month of it.
I'm pigmentificating as we speak.
In one test, 20 Marutas were placed strategically in a test site, tied to stakes, some at the top of hills, other in valleys or bunkers, some with gas masks, some without. Then, thousands of chemical munitions were exploded over a 4-day period around the prisoners. Researchers observed the progression of burns, respiratory failure, and eventual death.
Well, I wonder what happens if we set off explosives, chemicals near people.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
this stuff that in high concentration kills people. Yeah, let's
blow them.
A lot of it. Let's see what would happen. Well, it'd probably die. Yeah, but I mean, it'd be kind of cool, right? Oh yeah, let's do it. I just imagine it's just Japanese Beavis and Butthead sitting there going, let's blow them up.
Like your man in Tropic Thunder. That's still in my brain. Your man, the explosives guy. You know?
Just
the Japanese version of him.
Yeah.
Basically.
5 Marutas were forced to drink liquid mustard gas, symptoms including vomiting and diarrhea, because, of course, they also worked
That's why
together.
Japanese don't have cocktails in the same way like the Russians get the White Russian and stuff like that, you know? Like, no, nobody trusts their sweet rolls, their cream-filled rolls anymore.
Yeah.
And nobody trusts their drinks.
Don't need any melon that they give you, and don't trust anything that they give you to drink.
Want a smoothie? It's like,
no. Why is it bubbling?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Ooh, smells like mustard.
They also worked together to research other toxic chemicals like hydrogen cyanide, a blood gas often used in lethal injections, which I understand is not really a thing over in Europe, but it sure is over here.
It's the land of the free, baby. That's why.
That's right. We have a fucking business attached to it. It was studied as a weapon for bombs and sabotaging water supplies. Its main effect is to interfere with the enzymes in red blood cells that controls the transport of exhaust carbon dioxide away from respiring tissue. Those given large doses became confused and dizzy within a few seconds, unable to hold their breath, weakness, and muscular incoordination. They were unconscious within 30 seconds, seized with violent convulsions. They would stop breathing within the minute, and their heart would stop after several more. Tests were carried out in a large cloud chamber. That's never a good thing.
Cloud chamber.
Yeah, cloud chamber. Where are you taking me? The cloud chamber.
I don't know if you say clown or not, because that'd be really funny to bring them in. It's just... and then they just spray the flour, but it's actually like mustard gas or acid or something.
It's almost like that Jerry Lewis movie that never saw the light of day, where he fucking walks the Jews to the gas chambers to make them smile before they die. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Yeah, apparently he filmed the movie. I don't remember what it was called.
Glass of juice.
The Nazis employ him to be a clown to keep the people, mostly I believe the kids, happy as he walks them into the gas chamber.
God. Yeah. I bet he's one of those mime clowns. He's just standing in front of like...
walking into the wind.
Yeah.
Not the wind, it's the gas coming through the nostrils. Jesus Christ. So victims would be put in a truck tied to a pole and pushed inside. Some naked, some clothed, some with gas masks, some without. Even a young mother and her baby were put in, and she died trying in vain to protect her child from the gas. I guess when they pulled her out, she was laying on top of the baby, which obviously isn't going to help any. Now, from the history of medicine, Ishii knew that most races suffered from the same diseases. However, history has also shown that some genetic groups have been wiped out after exposure to a new unknown disease, and that others showed striking immunities, i.e. the Native Americans being wiped out by pretty much everything the Europeans lived through daily. Just the Native Americans, just the Indians being like, what is growing on my dick? The English being like, what? I was bored with it. It's just there.
It's ribbed for her pleasure.
You're white now. That's what you get when you become white. You get sores all over your genitals.
So why does it look like a Toblerone? God damn it.
So the question arose, what if he had selected particular diseases or disease strains for warfare that would be ineffective against their target? Japan was at war with a vast variety of racial types, which now included the white Europeans, which also included Americans. With so many resources already being spent on this project, it would be a tragic oversight to not make sure that the Anglos couldn't be killed by the same things that were decimating so many in Asia. But Unit 731 was handicapped by the fact that their subjects were almost exclusively Chinese or of Mongol descent. Which leads us to Mukden and Unit 100. Now, Unit 100, because that's how we keep it, 100.
Yeah. Why would they come up with all these cool names? You know?
Oh, I don't know.
Unit 731, Beverly Hills,
Unit
210.
Unit 9420 in Singapore, coming to you 7 o'clock every morning.
It's a drive time
Weenie
hour.
on the butt? Yeah. Well, now I fucking moved. I lost my place. Unit 100 had already been established since around 1936, but up until now it was mostly used in animal testing, developing biological agents that could infect and destroy livestock and agriculture in enemy territories. Diseases like anthrax, glanders, and the Rinderpest, a highly contagious and fatal viral disease that primarily affected cattle and other cloven-hooved animals. They used it to target horses, cattle, and crops. Livestock were intentionally infected with deadly pathogens to study transmission and lethality. There were reports of the deliberate release of infected animals into Chinese villages to observe the spread and impact. The unit worked on fungi and plant diseases to ruin crops, effectively using famine as a weapon. But in around 1942, the unit began testing on Allied forces. So this is the part of the story that matters the most. In with the white man.
Yeah. God, I feel so personally attacked right now.
I mean, everybody else.
I had no common ground with any of the people that were in this previously, except for the fact that we all bleed red and all that stuff. You know, we're all
finally we'll have something in common. Finally,
some guy in the sky. But yeah, I could finally. This is where you have my undivided attention.
Before I was only kind of listening, drowning you out mostly, but now I heard white.
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
I'm dying to hear about all those British that were in pain.
There were some. Now, once the United States entered World War II following Pearl Harbor, the USAFFE, or the U.S. Armed Forces in the Far East, were tasked to push back against the Japanese and to delay the Japanese action at the mouth of Manila Bay in the Philippines. And so the Battle of Bataan began shortly after, but with limited supplies of food and weaponry, the battle was lost about 3 months later. And then with the fall of Corrugator Island, thus began the Bataan Death March in early 1942. Now, I'm not going to get too much into the Death March itself because it's horrifying and would want to spend some actual time on it to do it justice. So we'll cover it in a full episode all on its own some other point. All you really need to know is now that the Japanese took upwards of 80,000 American and Filipino POWs on a 65-mile trek through the Philippines, and anywhere from 5,000 to 18,000 of them died or were killed along the way. Now, of these 80,000, that October, about 1,000 of the U.S. troops were singled out and marched to Manila, where they boarded the Japanese vessel, the Tottori Maru. Private Greg
I've heard
Rodriguez.
of that.
It's a Star Wars. It's a Star Wars. It's a Star Trek thing.
That's a different thing, isn't it? The Star Trek thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I could have sworn I heard the name of that before, though. Outside of the Star Trek, I was going to say Tokyo Murray, but that's Tokyo Murray is the people that make airsoft guns. What? Yeah. What is the Star Trek thing that you're reminding?
Captain Kirk uses it to cheat to win to beat a simulation. Is the only way to actually. Oh,
it is the actual same name, is it?
It's not the same name. No.
No,
it's
the
Kobayashi Maru. Yeah. Now, Private Greg Rodriguez said, quote, From the moment we went aboard the Hell ship, they were experimenting on us. They threw us on board to see how much we could stand, and many of us died. They took us from the tropics to the bitterly cold climate, and that took its toll on us. They gave us a few crackers and a little rice to eat, and I feel like it was a systematic way of beginning to test us, to find out how much the American and the British and the Australians could endure. Yes, it wasn't just the Americans in the unit, British, Australian, and New Zealand troops as well.
Well, movies would tell you that it is only the Americans because they're the only ones who won World War II. Yeah.
We came in and we saved the English, kicked the Nazis out of France, ran them back into Germany and said, don't do that anymore. And Hitler was so scared he ate a bullet.
Yeah.
Russia
the Russians
kind of sat
didn't
there.
Get involved. Yeah.
The Russians didn't. I don't think the Russians lost one person. I think they just stayed in Russia and they just screamed over the border. Just, hey, stop it!
Yeah.
Oh, you stop! You stop right
now.
I keep vodka from you if you don't stop. Stop with being mean to the Jews. It was all American, and the Japanese bombed us, and we're like, hey, buddy. Put them up. We saved the whole world by ourselves.
I remember that day very well. I remember seeing the eagles
That was-
flying
yeah.
over. I hear that.
Uh-huh.
I was like, "You're just America."
They all had AK-47s in their talons. They flapped with their wings, and sparklers came off them.
Yeah.
Like, finally, the Americans. It's like an Independence Day where everybody's trying to come up with the Americans have an idea. Well, it's about bloody time.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for them to kill these aliens so we can tag along.
Meanwhile, the Russians
Apparently, it's July
sorted out in
4th.
the background already.
July 4th, kill these aliens, and then we'll all celebrate with fireworks. Major Robert... Fuck, just a cough out of nowhere.
I forgot that's how
Major...
Independence Day got its name. It was named after the movie.
Yeah. It was named after the movie. Yep. Until then, it was just Fireworks Day. It was Blow Your Hand Off Day. And then they're like, independence from the aliens. The aliens being technically not the British, but anyway. Major Robert Petty of the Royal Army Ordnance Corps said about the camp in Mukden, quote, "The living accommodation was a series of wooden huts, perhaps 5 meters wide and as long as a cricket pitch." Because, of course, a British guy is going to use a cricket pitch as
it's about 7 borings long.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
20 meters. You don't like cricket? Oh, you hit the ball, and then you run back and forth.
Then
back
you
and forth,
stop
back and
for
forth, back and
tea.
forth.
They stopped for tea.
Honestly, I think a lot of sports would be better if you stopped halfway through for a cup of tea. But that's just
jolly good show there.
jolly good show.
Oh, yes.
What's this Earl Grey?
Oh, God, what a stupid sport.
Fuck. It's like the second biggest sport in the world.
Ah, it's fucking shit. I don't care.
The cricket championships are like...
It was the third most viewed, the Cricket World Cup thing, whatever. It was like the third most viewed thing, sports in the world ever, like last couple of years ever, I think. I know the FIFA World Cup is like the number one, and
behind FIFA, and
like
I think
Tour de France was second or something.
Like
But
which just, I mean, if that, like, I love soccer, but watching people bicycle.
I see that every day on my way into work, and it pisses me off. Then it's going to piss me off on TV too. So,
like, I can do that. I can go bicycle myself. I can't go as fast as they can. My legs aren't like the size of tree trunks. But
no, but you know what you do is you just record yourself cycling for all of about 30 feet. Just get loads of different angles of it, and then just splice them all together and make it look like you're going for like an hour. And like super.
Whatever.
The
they were partially sunk into the ground, and the roofs were made of single boards packed tight with earth. I was reminded of Dante's Inferno, "Abandon hope, all ye who enter here. I wouldn't have kept my garden tools in such a shed." Much like the Americans, they had 1,000 troops herded aboard the Fukai Maru in Singapore, and for 40 days and 40 nights had survived overcrowding, lack of food, about 1 bowl of rice and a pickled prune or a piece of seaweed twice a day, and 4 lavatories for the entire 1,000 men to share.
I hope the last boat is called the Fukayu Maru. That would be fucking brilliant.
Fuck the UK Maru.
Yeah. That'd be a brilliant name for a boat.
They arrived in Mukden in late 1942. Now, Petty was actually able to keep a sort of diary during his 3-year stay on paper torn from exercise books or saved from the daily ration of 1 sheet of toilet paper.
just the one square? Your
Just
average
one square.
Oh, where toilet paper squares larger back then because, shrinkflation.
They're Asian toilet paper squares. They're Japanese or Chinese, and they're
It's
smaller
a shell.
people.
It's just shell.
It's a leaf of poison ivy.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, knowing how efficient the Japanese can be at designing stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if their toilet paper squares are the same size as post-it notes, and they just took care of everything in one single wipe.
Yeah, you put it back there, and all of a sudden you hear like a suction, and things moving plays music. Around. You just drop it in the toilet, it plays music, goes, thank you, konnichiwa, and then it flushes itself. And you're like, I've never felt cleaner in my entire life. I also feel slightly violated, but I don't mind it.
Freedom.
So this diary, 30th of January, 1943. Everyone receives 5 cc typhoid paratyphoid inoculation. 13 February. About 10 Japanese medical officers and 20 other ranks arrived today to investigate the cause of the large number of deaths. 14 February. Vaccination for smallpox. 15th February. 2 Americans died in hospital, autopsies being performed on the corpses by visiting Japanese. Owing to the frozen ground, we have been unable to dig graves for some time, and all the bodies have been kept in rough board coffins in quote-unquote cold storage. 18th of February, the medical investigation...
It's like a Liam Neeson movie. Cold storage.
I think it might be. I would not
he
doubt.
Says cold Pursuit. I know his name.
Cold Pursuit. That's what it is.
Cold Storage. Has
I would imagine.
Next, though.
Now, Cold Storage is a Steven Seagal movie.
All right. So is it? He works like an ice cream shop or something.
Probably.
Like that?
Yeah. He karate kicks people in an ice cream shop. It's either that or Nicolas Cage. He's just yelling at people. 18th of February. The medical investigation still in progress. Many high-ranking officers have inspected us since our arrival. The purpose of their visit seems, as a rule, to be more curiosity, for we do not observe that anything happens as a result. The 19th of February. Several officers have been questioned about dysentery and diarrhea. 20th of February. Factory work was suspended while everyone was tested to find carriers and sufferers from dysentery and diarrhea. That's an ongoing theme.
Did anybody happen to get dysentery or diarrhea at any stage?
I'd have to look through my notes. I'm not sure.
Imagine diarrhea with just your one little square of toilet paper.
Just imagine the fucking smell coming out of this place. I mean, we knew with like Unit 731, we had discussed it in the first episode with the bacteria factory. Obviously, it stunk because bacteria eating whatever fucking stinks. It's death. But just massive amounts from a couple thousand people, just massive amounts of diarrhea. I mean,
it'd be like that scene from Team America, but coming out the other end. You gave up on life, didn't you?
20th of February. Factory work was suspended while everyone was tested to find carrier. I already did that one. Sufferers of dysentery, diarrhea. I already did that one. 21 February. Graves for 85 coffins are being dug today, but ground is still too frozen and progress is slow. 23rd of February, funeral service for 142 dead. 186 have died in 105 days. All American. 24th of February, medical investigation is complete. The findings are that ordinary diarrhea, not normally fatal, plus malnutrition and poor sanitation and insufficient medicine have proved a fatal combination of circumstances. They had to do almost a 2-week investigation to find out that, hey, if you have diarrhea and you're not feeding people well and shit's dirty, you could die.
I already said this in the first episode. They already knew all this shit that they were doing. They just wanted to do it. It's like walking up to somebody with a gun and be like, hey, wonder what happened if I shoot somebody in the face with a gun. And they shoot and go, oh, he died. What if we happen to do it to somebody else? And what if we keep just doing it and just keep doing it?
And do it to somebody of a different race and see what happens.
Like,
I believe they did. I believe they did that. I think it's called the CIA. I believe they did that.
Oh, better watch yourself there, CIA. If
Yeah,
you're listening. Kevin didn't mean that. CIA.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
You're knocking on my door. You can't say it. You know he's trying to sell citizenship now for $5 million.
What? I'm sorry.
If you come here and you earn your citizenship, you get what's called a green card.
Yeah.
All right, it's your path to citizenship. Well, now foreigners, if they're rich enough, for $5 million, not now, they haven't done it yet, but they're talking about doing it. For $5 million would be able to buy what's called a gold card, which is a expedited process to citizenship.
His entire platform was originally based on getting rid of foreigners. And he's like,
but getting rid of the poor brown farmers. He's hoping that the rich white foreigners. He's hoping that the rich white ones. Yeah, the rich white ones will come. You know, he's got no problem with the European foreigners and the South African who happen to look like his buddy.
That's what I was going to say. Like, he's not
them.
American.
No, as long as they're not brown and poor. Anyway,
they're okay if they're orange.
Some people are like, well, can I just sell my U.S. citizenship to somebody for $5 million and get the fuck out? Because I could do that. I could probably live pretty high on the hog somewhere in Europe for $5 million U.S.
Next thing, Jeff Bezos buys citizenship for every Mexican person he possibly can, just to annoy him.
Just to have them work at his fucking warehouses for free. You owe me $5 million to make you a citizen. You're going to work here free for the rest of your fucking life because I only pay you $14 an hour.
Damn it, that's how
anyway
the slave trade worked. God damn
it. It seems like it. It seems like it's something like that.
Today's episode is brought to you by podup.com.
Let's be honest, whether you want to admit it or not, you've probably thought at some point to start a podcast. Podcasts are fun. Podcasts are fun. You and I have a good time on here, Dan.
Just get on, talk junk.
Yeah. I mean, it's some dark content. What we're talking about isn't necessarily fun, but we make it fun. We have a good time. And we would never even met each other for one podcast. So
that's true. Podcasts and Canadians.
Podcasts and Canadians. Little D&D thrown in there. I mean, change your life.
Well, there are about 5 million podcasts out there, and around 90% of those stop after just 3 episodes. That's including about 1.8 million that stop before they even start, which we know a thing or two about that, now to be fair.
Yeah, we do, unfortunately.
Yeah. Quite a few still on the drawing room floor. So.
Yeah. And of those that do get started and past that 3 episode mark, about 90% of those don't get past 20 episodes. And there's a reason. Podcasting is hard. Well, successful podcasting is hard.
Yeah, it's not just sitting in front of a microphone and talking for an hour, even though sometimes that's what it is for me. It's recording, audio editing, video editing, social media, promotion, blah, 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 all the stuff that Kevin does.
And I do. And finding and paying for all that software to use can be just as big of a headache, not to mention expensive.
Well, with PodUp, you can have a one-stop shop for everything you need to take your podcast to the next level.
With 35 powerful modules with AI integration and one software, you can create, publish, grow, monetize, and manage your podcast with a simple, easy-to-use interface.
Everything from a site builder and recorder to editing for video and audio, live streams, blogs, and transcriptions.
Legal, newsletters, SEO.
Setting up shops, getting ads and sponsorships.
Managing your workflow, files, and even backing up your content.
Set up an account today and get 14 days free. And even schedule a demo with one of PodUp's podcasting experts to see how to start producing and monetizing your very own podcast.
And when you're ready, use our exclusive coupon code TORTURE15 for 15% off whichever package you decide to go with.
And if you're a professional that's even too busy for that, go to podallies.com.
Yeah, their done-for-you podcast production and marketing service will take care of the dirty work for you.
Dirty. We're talking websites, social media, editing work, SEO, all done for you. So you can just focus on being the star of the show, like me, and getting on with your day, unlike Kevin, who has to do all the work.
That's why everybody comes is for Dan. And this team of experts will use PodUp software to put your podcast on the map where it belongs. See, just they're using PodUp software. It's all one big circle. It's always coming back around.
Like opposite of a square.
That's right.
There you go. So, go to podup.com and podallies.com and use our coupon TORTURE15 for 15% off. That's TORTURE15 for 15% off.
Podup.com, the ultimate podcasting platform. 19 April, another Japanese medical investigation started today, as apparently the findings of the first did not meet with approval.
Not enough people died.
Not enough people died. So wait a minute. You're telling me that if you have diarrhea, we don't feed you right, and the place is dirty, you could die. Yes. I don't believe it. Yep. Do it again. Do it again. So
findings inconclusive.
May 24th, diarrhea is increasing. It's just
that is a horrible statement.
That's all you can write for the entire day. That's all you have.
And it's real scratchy
energy and gumption. Diarrhea is increasing.
Oh, that poor bastard.
May 25th.
I'm going to do that next time I'm stuck seeing a man about a horse. I'm going to... My usual... Actually, I was thinking what I do usually say. The next diary entry just says code brown. That's all it says.
Code brown. Diarrhea is increasing. May 25th. While waiting for medicine for diarrhea, which was not forthcoming, men were ordered to exercise by playing baseball. The ball cannot be found.
Yeah. I wonder where it is.
That's just what you want when you have diarrhea, is to run bases. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. May 26th. Diagnosis of diarrhea consists of running the men around the parade grounds. I saw some of them with bare feet. Those who did not mess their pants or drop from exhaustion were reckoned to be liars and were told to go back. Protest had been made, and a change is expected in both method and personnel. I am dying over here. Fucking hell. Not from diarrhea, luckily. However,
I get you. I keep myself muted because you keep coughing and stuff so much.
Yeah. However, June 8th, diarrhea is steadily increasing.
Nice.
It's Jesus. August 6th, there are now 208 dead. October 9th, everyone x-rayed for TB. November 21st, there are now over 230 dead.
This
March
is what
7th.
they see, just so you know. There's the Japanese scientists come walking in, trying to see the results.
For those of you listening and not watching, it's Jeff Goldblum looking at a giant pile of shit. Yeah. That's one huge pile of shit. 7th of March, 1944, everyone is being stool tested for roundworms. March 12th, the stool test shows that 41% of us have worms. The Japanese say no remedy is available at present, and we cannot expect it to be forthcoming. April 14th, stool tests showed worms, 500 men, dysentery, 3 men, trigonosis, 10 men. We can obtain no information as what medicine may be expected. Probably none, because you're kind of there to die.
Just blackcurrant flavor. Just chill out,
we got
guys.
Pedialyte over here. Frank James, sergeant of the U.S. 409 Signal Company, was assigned to burial detail in early 1943. He said, quote, I was pretty sick myself, but I wouldn't go to the hospital because no one that went in ever came out. I went around to the hut, and there must have been, I reckon, 340 bodies stacked there, which is a weird number to come to. 350, 300, but 340, that's wrong. Count them up. 340.
It's like,
well, see what I do is there's
12.
There's 7 this way, there's 5 that way. I say, well, if there's 10 here, and then there's about 34 of those, I'm guessing there's, Now, there were
it's like those Facebook posts, guess how many jelly beans are in this jar? The boys like, guess how many corpses are in this pile? You win a prize. You get some diarrhea.
How many diarrheas? How many diarrheas is in this giant pile of shit? Each body had a tag attached to his toe. There were 2 or 3 men who I took to be Japanese doctors there. They were all masked, 100%. All the time they were there, their faces were covered. Another fellow and I were told to lift the bodies up and put them on the autopsy tables. Then they began to cut them open. They went deep into the stomachs, the bile, the small intestines, and they also took what looked like pancreas and lungs. They also operated on the heads and took parts of the brain.
The body's still sitting there, shit coming out of it.
Yeah, it's been dead for 3 days.
Yeah.
It still
Cause
has
of death, diarrhea. Shocking.
Now all the shocking. Now all of the prisoners would be given various inoculations and made to drink possibly infected substances. But it seems to most that while the British, Australian, and New Zealand prisoners were given actual inoculations and possible safe liquids to drink, the Americans were almost always given placebo shots and infected liquids. Because by the time the Red Cross inspection had taken place in November of 1943, 84 Brits were dead, 16 Australians, and 1,174 Americans. And this would go on for another 2 years. Now, I remember at the beginning of this, I said, well, they singled out 1,000 and took them to Unit 100. But once, it was just like Pig Fan. Once a handful of them died, they'd go grab another handful and bring them over. So they always had this new rotating crop of
Americans.
Americans.
Oh, here we go, everybody. Here comes woe for us Americans. We had it bad here, people. Oh. The land of the free bowels.
Land of the diarrhea.
Yep.
Now, in June of 1944, America took Saipan, an island held by Japan that would allow the U.S. to establish a base for long-range B-29 bombers to attack Japan directly. Unit 731 had been prepping to supply bacteriological weapons for the Pacific conflict since that May. Ishii had plans to attack American forces at Saipan. He wanted to deny the Americans the use of Saipan's airstrip by sprinkling the runway with plague-infected fleas. But before reaching their destination, the ship and crew that were sent to Saipan to carry out this endeavor was sunk by an American submarine with only one survivor. I believe the one survivor was also a flea.
What?
He's just one flea in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Just going to sprinkle the airstrip like Salt Bay, just rolling down his arm, just sprinkling all over the fucking...
And then all the planes that come to range just go smush, 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 smash, smash. Like,
just little droplets of blood all over the place.
Well, it seems that the fleas have zero effect on aircraft, so we have to revisit that entire plan. The aircraft did not
Well, the plane-
get diarrhea.
The plane lands, and then it's up on the its landing gear,
Yeah,
tiptoeing
tiptoeing.
around. Like a Family Guy episode.
Then it suddenly starts shitting itself.
Yeah. It's just jet fuel, just
Yeah.
jet.
Diarrhea is increasing.
This is a gross episode. I didn't realize we were going to focus so much on the diarrhea aspect.
Well,
This is a gross episode.
there's an awful lot about it in it, to be fair.
It's a lot.
so-
There's a lot. There is a lot of diarrhea in this episode. That's probably the title of the episode. There's a lot of diarrhea. It's a gross episode. Allied forces worked their way more and more into Asia, taking Guam, defeating 2/3 of the Japanese fleet in the Second Battle of the Philippine Sea. And after the fall of Iwo Jima in February of 1945, Ishii again proposed a germ warfare attack. But he was told at this point it would not change the war situation, at least the Pacific War situation. He was, however, sent back to Manchuria to begin raising his output of bacteria weapons. They planned on deploying the weapons deep behind the lines in the Soviet Union. The company was given more equipment. Now with 4,500 flea breeding machines, they could produce 100 million insects every few days, with an eye on approximately 1 billion plague fleas in the run-up to the war with the Soviets. Up to 3 million rats, rabbits, and other rodents were also procured to feed the fleas, and the piles of grain, millet, and soybean flour to feed the animals were 4 stories tall. The entire area smelled of piss. And it was put that in the book. It was like the entire area smelled of urine. It's like, I bet it fucking did.
It's a whole episode about bodily fluids.
It's
not even a Paul Bernardo episode. Oh my god.
She shit on my chest. She just shot a shit on my chest. But see, all this preparation. Fuck you, Paul. I hope you're listening to this and you're getting sick from all the diarrhea talk. He's trying to write a rap about it. Now, all this buildup would be needed because Okinawa fell in June. The Germans and Italians had surrendered, and Russia repudiated the 5-year neutrality pact they signed with Japan in April of 1941. And at the urge of England and America, the Soviets decided to turn their attention to Manchuria. Now, the morning of August 9th, after the bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, the Soviets swept across the border into Manchuria and Korea with 1.5 million troops, 5,500 tanks, and 5,000 airplanes.
Yeah, you know when the Russians show up, things are going to get fixed.
Yeah. I would imagine their tanks are just like old Honda Civics with fucking AKs.
What it is a heap load of... They're not even tanks, right? They're just like little fucking, cars. Like little hatchbacks that are like little rust buckets, and they're all wearing matching tracksuits. Every single one as they come across. Let's go get them. Trust them, bro.
Squirrel. Asian moose and squirrel. The order to destroy Units 731, 100, and their sister facilities was given. The main headquarters in Pingfan was to be blown up, and personnel were to destroy all evidence and to be evacuated south to Seoul in Korea. Branch chiefs were asked to issue their entire personnel with potassium cyanide for use if captured by the Soviets. Many took to the hills and prepared to commit collective suicide. Now, the first to go would be the Marutas. Flasks of toxic chemicals were thrown into their cells. Potassium cyanide poison was also put in the prisoners' breakfast food. The unit's printer, Neijo Izono, said, quote, "First off, the Marutos were killed. Then their bodies were put in the incinerator. The specimens taken from human bodies were also put in, but there were so many that they just wouldn't burn. So we took them down to the Sungari River and dumped them in."
Stop not burning! God damn it!
How much shit do you have to put in a fucking incinerator for it to not be able to burn it? Jesus,
this absolute
Christ.
pile, and there's like one guy lying on top still. He's kind of like, "Hey, what are we doing here?"
Some bodies were thrown into the roadblock courtyard, covered with heavy fuel oil, and set on fire. Eventually, hot bones were all that remained, and they were collected, put in straw bags, and dumped into the river along with hundreds of pairs of manacles.
Hot
600.
bones,
Yeah.
Isn't your hey?
Hot bones.
Ooh, hello.
Oh, yeah. That's not appropriate. Hot bones. Not appropriate at all. That's not what we're talking. Hot bones. 600 local Manchurian and Chinese laborers who worked at the disease farm and elsewhere in Pinfang were machine gunned down. Thank you for your service. Run. Which, I think everybody saw that one coming.
Oh, yeah. Let them dispose of all the evidence, then kill them.
Yeah, do the hard work. I mean, that's every supervillain's MO, right?
Yeah.
Joker at the beginning of
Batman.
Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah. You let those guys help you rob a bank and then kill everyone. Now, it took 3 days to demolish the main buildings. Some were so strong that they resisted dynamite. So they filled 80 used Ford trucks with 50-kilogram bombs and rammed them into the building. Thousands of infected rats were set free in Pingfan, causing a local plague epidemic which claimed many innocent lives in the summer of 1946. So just one little fuck you to the area they've been calling home for the better part of over half a decade. Members were issued vials of poison, and the 2,000 or so personnel were freighted off from Pingfan to Harbin, then south to Sinkin. On the evening of the 15th, Ishii addressed the troops one last time, swearing them to a, quote, life in the shadows for the rest of their lives. He ordered them to never speak of their military past, never to take official positions in the future, and never again to contact each other. Many kept that promise until the day until they died invented. Decades later. No, not quite yet. But it's just like, what we're doing here is research. It's all for medical progress. There's nothing wrong with what we're doing. These people aren't really people. They're just logs, so you don't have to worry about anything happening. Also, if we ever get caught, you might be murdered for what you're about to do. So don't talk about it to anyone. Yeah. It's fine. Just don't talk about it to anyone.
Imagine sitting there in a job interview. Excuse me, there seems to be a bit of a gap in your resume. It's like, he's just sitting there sweating.
You have a 6-year gap. What were you doing? Just a lot of medical work. Yeah. I worked with a good crew. It's confidential.
Yeah.
And it just puts that fucking tablet in, bites it, and it starts foaming in the mouth. Too many questions, I can't handle it. Now, meanwhile, at Unit 100, Major Petty's scrap diary recorded on August 16th, quote, 6 men were brought into camp this evening, and from the fact that they were smoking more than the regulation distance from an ashtray, we knew they were not prisoners of war. After an unusually good supper, all prisoners were released from the guardhouse.
I'm sorry, 1 second. Sorry. He said knew they weren't POWs because they were smoking within the regulation distance.
They were smoking more than the regulation
All
distance.
right, so we walk out with a fucking measuring tape and
yeah,
be like, not a POW.
Yeah. Now, there's like one ashtray with a square on the ground. You got to stand in that square and smoke right next to the ashtray. Because they would give you dysentery and diarrhea, but they wouldn't keep you from smoking. I mean, they're not monsters.
Oh, yeah. Damn straight.
Red Cross food supplies were to be inspected tomorrow. The 6 men were an American mission sent primarily, of course, to rescue the American prisoners. Are you American? Sure am as American as apple pie and baseball. All right, you come with me. You American? But jolly good. Fuck you. You stay. Yeah. I didn't know anybody else was in this war but us and the Japanese. Now, the diary goes on to say that on August 20th, quote, at about 7 p.m., a small party of Russian officers arrived and announced that we are now svobodo, or free, and that they would enter into conference with our senior officers at once to discuss details regarding our departure. Later in the evening, the Japanese guards were disarmed on the parade ground and, headed by their colonel, they were marched in single file right around guarded by us, now wearing their equipment and armed with their weapons, and escorted into their own guardhouse in front of every man in the camp. The Russian officer in charge said, here they are. Do what you like with them. Cut their throats or shoot them. It's all the same to me. But they decided not to seek reprisal, Petty going on to say, quote, it would have been beneath our dignity. It would have reduced us to their level. After all, they had to live the rest of their lives with what they've done, which shows that he's a better man than the people who are working there, because they don't give a shit about what they did. If they did, they probably wouldn't have been doing it in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I imagine that some of them did. We had talked last episode about how not everybody who worked there was a sociopath. Some of them went to work there for research purposes, got involved, wanted to get out, and couldn't because they'd be murdered if they did. So I would imagine some of them actually did live with a sort of PTSD afterwards.
100%.
Lieutenant Colonel Toshidi Nishi, Major General Koichi Kawashima, and Major Tamino Karasawa, commander of the Pinfang factory under Ishii, Commander-in-Chief Ozo Yamada, and Chief Army Veterinarian Takatsu Takahashi were some of those captured by the Russians, while Ishii, Major General Kikuchi, civilian researcher Hisato Yoshimura, and printer Naoji Izono were just some of the overwhelming majority of Unit 731 that were able to escape. Now, even before the end of the war, because of prisoner testimonies, Chinese reports, Soviet intel, and, like we discussed in the first episode, unexplainable sudden outbreaks of disease that covered entire villages. Which, where did this plague come from? I don't know. It just kind of popped up out of nowhere. Red flag.
Gee, I wonder.
The Allied forces had an idea that the Japanese were researching biological warfare. And they, mostly America, decided it would be a good idea to do the same, just not quite at the level of Ishii and Unit 731. But our knowledge of certain diseases and how to vaccinate against them was years behind the now defeated enemy. And if there's one thing that the American government covets almost as much as money and power, it's knowledge. Specifically, knowledge on how to best defeat an enemy. Or knowledge on how to best acquire money and power.
And oil.
And oil. First you get the knowledge, then you get the money, then you get the oil, then you get more money, then you get the chicks. Finally, I'll be able to talk to a girl. Because that's what it's all about. That's why all these billionaires do all the stupid shit they do, because when they were growing up, they didn't know how to talk to girls, and now they have money, and now they can talk to girls, and have like 60 kids with 10 different women.
Yeah, like look at Elon's history. Like, it's like, how?
Yeah, how? Now he's got his 4-year-old always around his, sitting up on his head because he's using him as a bulletproof vest. Because he knows if he doesn't have him, he's going to be murdered. Anyway, so enter Lieutenant Colonel Murray Sanders, Army officer and microbiologist.
Okay,
Shortly after, I believe they were cousins. I believe they were distant cousins. Army officer, shortly after Japan's surrender, the U.S. War Department assigned Sanders to investigate Japan's biological warfare capabilities. His background in microbiology and military experience made him a natural choice to assess potential threats and gather intelligence. His mission was to determine the scale of Japan's biological warfare efforts, collect scientific data to prevent it from falling into the Soviets' hands, assess potential threats to U.S. troops and civilians from lingering biological agents. Upon arriving in Japan, he met with Japanese military officers who initially denied wrongdoing. Like, hey, did you guys infect a bunch of people with shit? Dysentery and the like.
Just pushing it aside with their foot behind them. No.
Literally picking up a rug and sweeping this shit under. What are those fleas?
Bulldozers just pushing corpses along a line right behind them.
Shh. The bulldozer gets up on all fours and just starts tiptoeing behind him.
There's some really hot bones sitting over there.
More diarrhea. Just more diarrhea. Medical personnel connected to epidemic prevention units and members of the Japanese government who were cautious but aware of American priorities. Sanders spent the next few months interrogating several men in the upper echelon of the Kwantung Army, the Commander-in-Chief, Vice Minister of War, Vice Chief of the Army, Deputy Colonel, bomb experts, technician experts, and doctors in Unit 731. The release of this information led to the January 6, 1946 edition of the Pacific Stars and Stripes newspaper, in where Japanese communist leaders accused members of the Japanese Medical Corps of inoculating American and Chinese prisoners of war in Manchuria with bubonic plague, and that Dr. Shiro Ishii directed human guinea pig tests both at Mukden and at Harbin. It even asserted that Ishii, in spite of having a mock funeral, was alive and living in Japan. Yes, he went as far as to have a fake funeral so nobody would know where he was.
So the Allies... That's maximum effort right there. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Fake your own death. I wonder. The Allies had announced their intentions to hold a series of war crime trials ranging from Class A, or major cases, tried in Tokyo by the International Military Tribunal for the Far East, which we covered a little bit in our Nanking series, to Class B and C cases tried across the war zones for the most by commissions appointed by the U.S. Army and Navy. Now, up until this point, Ishii had been able to give the American Counterintelligence Corps the slip. But aided by an informant, they finally located him living in seclusion at his country home in Camo. Has anybody looked where he lives? Well, we checked this house. He's not there. What about his other house? You know, the one out in the country where nobody goes to? Nah, he's probably not there. I mean,
we could go look, but
could look. Has anybody said anything? Well, we have this one informant that said he might be there. All right, give it a shot. What's the worst that could happen? They requested Japan return him to his house in Tokyo for interrogation. Now, by this time, hold on, I got to get this. It's just the more I talk, the more it builds and builds until it's just one ball in the back of my throat. Now,
I
by
filled
this
in for
time,
you there for a second, so
I heard. I appreciate it. Dan, talks amongst yourselves. All right. Now, by this time, January 1946, Ishii was suffering from chronic gallbladder problems and, with no loss of irony, dysentery. And he's just sitting there on the toilet going, so much diarrhea. Is this what I was doing to people? This is horrible. He was questioned from the 17th to the 25th of February. But these weren't like dark, dingy rooms with one swinging light bulb, good cop, bad cop, tell me where the bodies were type interrogations. According to Ishii's daughter, Harumi, who sat in and typed out transcriptions, she said that the meetings were relaxed. And the American Arvo T. Thompson was served meals. He was the one doing the interrogations. Even General MacArthur's intelligence chief visited Ishii at home to attend a dinner party. Did you kill all those people?
It
wasn't me.
Did you put diseases in their food?
No.
Okay.
Speaking of food, have you tried the hors d'oeuvres?
Yeah, I was going to say, you have some pretty slick-looking cream rolls sitting in there. Oh, yeah.
And there's just one guy off the side. No! Don't! Thompson, quote, literally begged for top-secret data on germ weapons. At the same time, he emphasized that the data must not fall into the hands of the Russians. You're going to go to prison, but please, give me the information I need. I'm not good at this job. They sent me over here to interrogate you, and I don't know what I'm doing. Please.
In between bites of steak.
Is this Wagyu? Oh, it's so good. Tender falling in my mouth. Anyway, please. I'm pretty sure they're going to fire me, and my wife's going to divorce me. I don't know what I'm doing. It looks so easy on Law and Order SVU. This is so hard. Stabler makes it look so much fun.
Is it SVU that does that cool doom noise?
All of the Law and Orders do the doom doom. Kind of a Law and Order thing. But yeah, SVU is one of them that does that. So what ended up happening to Ishii and all those that worked at Unit 731? Well, Ishii proposed a trade. Full disclosure of research and experimental data, including human experimentation results, in exchange for immunity for himself and key staff. The U.S. government approved the deal, granting Ishii and his team full immunity from war crime prosecution. Even if there's a murder investigation, the person who's like, I may have did it, but I want immunity, they don't get full immunity. They still end up going to prison for at least a little while. This guy killed thousands of people. Thousands. And they're like, I may have done it, but I want immunity. And they're like, well, yeah, obviously, of course you get immunity. I mean, there's no question about that. This guy, fucking Arvo over here, kind of played our hand already when he's begging you to give us the shit. What else can't really go back on? It's like when you walk into a car dealership and be like, Please, I need a car so bad I'll pay anything for it. Well, this one's marked up from 6,000 to 39.
Yeah, I'll give you 40. I'll give you 40.
I'll give you 40. I'll give you 40 and my firstborn daughter.
Yeah. What a deal.
Yeah. The collected data was used in U.S. biological warfare research, with many details remaining classified for decades. Now, when it came time for the Tokyo trials, the activities of Unit 731 and Unit 100 and all the satellite facilities were all but omitted from the trial. This did not sit well with the Soviets, obviously. Not only were the bad guys not getting their punishment, remember, there were plenty of Russians that lived in Manchuria that were taken prisoner and experimented on in Pingfen, but also now the big enemy, the Americans, had all the knowledge. But they were able to capture a few of the unit workers, and in 1949 held the Kharbarovsk war crimes trials. They were able to try 12 Japanese officers like General Yamada, who was sentenced to 25 years, and several other mid-level officers and scientists that were sentenced anywhere from 2 to 25 years in Soviet labor camps, which sounds fucking horrible.
Yeah. Isn't it labor camps they covered? There's a movie. I'll have to look it up. Give it a look. It's thing to do. Yeah. It's one, when it comes into your brain and just escapes. I'll have to look it up later on.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is what we call a thought train that goes around in a circle and then crashes into itself.
Yeah. Pretty much.
It's one of those Thomas the Tank Engine thought trains that just goes by where they wall Percy up into the fucking thing, and he just lives there forever. Walled up.
Ah, God.
It probably wasn't Percy.
I'll save myself next time I have a brain thought, and I won't use my hands.
Right. Many that
too fast.
My brain's moving too fast for my mouth to keep up.
Yeah.
Many that performed some of the most horrible acts at Unit 731 went on to live ordinary lives. Others went on to be praised for their scientific and medical accomplishments, like Dr. Koji Ando, who headed Unit 731's vaccine-producing detachment, became a professor of Tokyo University's Infectious Disease Research Institute. Dr. Tachimaru Ishikawa, a pathologist at 731, had brought home thousands of human pathological samples, became a professor at Kanazawa University in 1944, held that until the late 60s, and then became president of the university's medical school. Dr. Toru Ogawa, once a researcher at Unit 731's Nanking department, working on typhoid and paratyphoid organisms for poisoning food and drinking water, went on to work at Nagoya Prefecture Medical University. What did you do before you became a doctor here? Oh, a little of this, little of that. You ever heard of a little thing called Nanking? Well, I haven't. I've never been there. I don't know what you're talking about. Dr. Kozu Akamoto, pathology squad leader in Pingfang, who carried out human vivisection experiments, later became a professor at Kyoto University and director of the university's medical department, then the director of Osaka's Kinki University. Just cutting up people one day, leading a university the next.
Yeah.
Just,
Directing the youth of tomorrow.
That's right.
The future leaders of yesterday, or whatever the hell the thing is.
Sir, I know you have a lot to do, but my mom is sick, and I was wondering if you could help. Well, have you tried cutting her open to seeing what's happening inside? That's what I mean.
Well, I hope it's if it's not diarrhea or dysentery, I don't know how to help her. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know how to help her. What you got to do is you got to cut her open and look for the diarrhea inside. See if you can see the dysentery. Dr. Kazu Tabe, who was involved in feeding typhoid-infested milk to humans and tested buckshot-type germ bombs on a subject, became the professor of bacteriology at Kyoto University. Dr. Hisato Yoshimura, who directed the frostbite experiments, became a faculty member of Kyoto Medical College and later its president. He then became an advisor to Japan's Antarctic expedition. Be like, it's gonna be really cold there. I know a thing about that.
Can't talk about it though. You have to take my word for it that I know a thing or two about the cold.
They go down to Antarctica. It's like, my arms are so cold. If you hit them with a stick, does it sound like lumber? No? You're fine.
Yeah.
And in 1973, he was appointed as the first president of the Japanese meteorological. Why can I say that fucking word all of a sudden? Meteorological Society. He also became the president of Kobe Women's University and had served as a consultant to an association that advises frozen food and fishery companies. Just him on LinkedIn. I feel like,
I like cold
anything
stuff.
cold. What type of job are you looking for? Anything cold?
Yeah.
You like to work in the cold? No, the cold is horrible. I know a little bit about it.
Yeah, yet again, hit the fish fingers with a stick. It sounds like lumber, they ain't fresh.
Yeah, that's right. He claims that prisoners were paid for their services, and a baby that was used in the tests belonged to a Japanese woman that volunteered her. Come on. And Ryoshi Naito became a member of the New York Academy of Sciences, formed the Japan Blood Bank, and received an award in 1963 from the Japanese Science Society for his pioneering work in artificial blood. Naoto was better known as the one that decided to try pumping horse blood into humans.
And he was rewarded for that?
Well, he was rewarded for his work that he would do later on in pioneering work in artificial blood, and he formed the Japanese Blood Bank. He's like, how am I going to use these skills later on in life?
Yeah.
Just pumping horse blood into humans. I'll figure out a way to make money off of this. Now, it's nice that they got to go along with their lives, even though entire villages in China and elsewhere were decimated for decades. Many civilians of those villages lived with chronic illness for the rest of their lives. Survivors reported cases of birth defects and reproductive problems. Many lived with deep psychological trauma and PTSD. Many others were faced with the stigma and discrimination, as local communities sometimes feared contagion or associated them with the horrific events. You see that guy? Yeah, that guy's from Pin Fang. Oh, don't go near him. Ew, cooties! Did you guys have cooties at Higher?
Yeah, it's not called that though, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, we had cooties here. Villages that were hit by plague and cholera were uninhabitable for up to 3 years. Like Ningbo was reoccupied after only a year, but had sporadic outbreaks of disease that lasted for years. Cities attacked by anthrax and glanders were left abandoned for decades. Anthrax spores surviving the soil for 20-plus years, and soil and water contaminated with glanders is unsafe for up to 30 without thorough cleanup. Some agricultural regions in Heilongjiang province near Unit 731 facility remained partially off limits to farming and habitation until the 80s and 90s, when cleanup efforts intensified. The environmental hazards from buried waste in Pingfen lasted until the 2000s, when a large-scale excavation effort finally began. Yeah, so like 60-plus years. Well, 50-plus years. Now, as for Ishii, well, There are rumors that he started working for the American military, living in Korea for a short time to help produce biological weapons for the U.S. during the Korean War, although his daughter adamantly denies this. He opened a clinic in Japan, performing examinations and treatments for free. Eventually, his health deteriorated and he was unable to speak clearly. He died October 9th, 1959, at the age of 67 from laryngeal cancer as a newly baptized Roman Catholic. Go figure. Jesus will forgive me.
Yeah.
And Mary and whoever else we worship.
His final words were the diarrhea is increasing.
What are you saying, Dad? The diarrhea. What are you saying? The diarrhea is increasing. And that is the not fairly abridged story of General Shiro Ishii and Japan's Unit 731.
Bastards.
Now, there was a lot more we could have gotten into, a ton more. I mean, this could have easily been a 5-episode thing if we would have covered every single thing. All the shit that Ishii wanted to do, all the things he had planned out. He had planned out, like, it was like Operation Cherry Blossom or something like that, where he's going to send balloon bombs over to America,
right,
and set them off on the West Coast. Just a bunch of other shit he wanted to get into. We could have done another whole episode just on Murray Sanders and General MacArthur and the shit that they were doing, looking into biological warfare. There was a story about Murray Sanders and somebody else taking 2 big pink vials of, I believe it was anthrax, into a New York apartment house, right, and using some type of vacuum mechanism to suck to see if they could suck the vials of anthrax into the tap water through the sinks or through the tubs, and apparently it worked. So they came away with the information of, we could very easily poison the entirety of New York City's water supply with this method and kill millions in one fatal swoop. Yeah. So there's a lot of shit we could have gotten into, plus all the stuff with the kids that we decided not to go across. So there's a lot more information out there. Unit 7, the book Unit 731, it's a pretty good read. It's older book. It was written, I believe, in the mid 80s, but it still has all the information in it. So if you want more, go read that, because this is all you're getting from us. No more. We're done. Yeah, Dan, any pop culture, which I know there's a little bit.
Yeah, there's a heap load of books. There's several comics as well. There's one by Dark Horse Comics, which anybody who knows, the Umbrella Academy is Dark Horse comic, which I didn't know was written by Gerard Way. Yes, it is. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Of My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
I believe Hellboy's a Dark Horse comic too, isn't it?
I think so. I know that they do like the Buffy one, Sin City and stuff like that. Frank Miller's stuff.
Yeah. All those.
Oh yeah, Hellboy is.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
I just went onto their page there to have a look. And there's quite a lot of movies actually about it. One called Philosophy of a Knife.
One's
does
called
not have
Dysentery
Steven
Diarrhea.
Seagal in it.
The diarrhea is increasing, starting Sean Penn.
The Diarrhea Diaries. That's what it is. The Diarrheas? Is that what you'd say? The Diarrheas. The Diarrheas. But yeah, just an awful lot. Like, if you jump onto their Wikipedia page, I'm not going to go through them all because there's a lot of stuff here.
There's a lot.
There's loads of songs. Like Slayer have a song called Unit 731.
Taylor Swift?
Sadly, she does not. No.
Give her time. She's still young. She'll figure it out. I know you two are.
She might cover Slayer's one. You never know.
Yeah, I know you two are close. You have the hat. So maybe you just send her over all these episodes in some type of like file and be like, hey, here you go, write us.
Yeah, it's a great idea. But so other TV shows as well, stuff like the X-Files covered it, Warehouse 13 covered it, The Blacklist covered it, a few other bits. Just loads of them, lots and lots and lots and lots of them. There's a video game apparently, Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion. An awful lot of jokes of multiple of the main game's various encounter specimens, especially Specimen 9, known as the Taker, are implied as results of experimentation from Unit 731.
It's like, how do you have a video?
It's a bunch of guys shitting yourself.
You run into a room, it's just people with diarrhea.
Yeah, you have to tap square really fast so you don't shit yourself the whole way through it. That's what it is.
I got to run around this baseball diamond and try not to shit myself. You can find the baseball. Fucking hell.
Can't find the baseball, yeah.
Well, thank you to our patrons, Willoquin Fowler, Nevin, and Sam. If you like for us to read any emails or anything, you can send them torturepod@gmail.com. You can message us, Instagram, all the socials, Blue Sky. We are on now at TorturePod. Still on the TikTok. Go review us, Apple, Good Pods, wherever they let you review. Really does help us out. Subscribe wherever you listen. Head over to our YouTube page to see us if you would rather watch your podcast than listen to them. Donate to the show on either our link tree on our socials or coffee at buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/torturepod. Go to our Patreon, patreon.com/torturepod. Or go buy some of our merch. Although we get a free week of Cult Leader tier for free at Patreon. And go buy some of our merch, Redbubble, redbubble.com/people/torturepod. Any Pride merch sold, profits go to the Trevor Project. And you can, thank you to our sponsors. You can also support us by supporting them. I'm just trying to work through this so I can breathe again. So I am just all covered in just grossness. Hint for our next episode. I mean, Nelson Mandela's wife is okay with it. It can't be that bad, can it?
Felching.
Horrigan!
If Richard Gere can do it, I can too.
Any words of wisdom?
Best one I can think of is don't think you have to grow up. Just learn how to act in public.
There you go.
Yeah.
A little piece of advice.
Yeah.
Don't be an idiot in public. Be an idiot at home.
Yeah. Or just don't care what people think. There's a certain power in that.
Yeah. Well,
should take my own advice.
I would say care a little. I don't care what anybody thinks. I know a lot of people who don't care about what anybody thinks, and they're usually jackasses who are entitled and
think they can do whatever they want. Weird. That's what I mean.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Be yourself. Yeah. Unless you're a horrible person, then be someone else.
Yeah. Unless you're Hitler, then go fuck off and die.
Yeah. Fuck Hitler. Off. If you're if you're a Nazi, then just should give you your own little island. All the Nazis can move to a little island, and they can be Nazis together.
Speaking of Nazis, though, that thing in your background there of Hitler getting punched by Captain America. Captain America's shield has been annoying the crap out of me the entire time. Because none of the lines are properly centered or any of that, and it should just be red lines. Like look at that little tiny bit of blue all the way over on the side of it there. Like just that one little tiny sliver. It's kind of like, did you not just?
Just put the blue right down the center. And yes, they should all be red because we don't have any blue stripes on our flag. Yeah. Like his suit. If you look at his suit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it looks like he took the top half of his suit from Aquaman there, but yeah.
And technically, with the one star, he's Captain Puerto Rico.
Oh, there you go. Captain Puerto Rico.
But whatever.
It's kind of ironic, though, that everybody says about Americans being dumb and they can't even draw their own flag. Oosa, oosa, oosa.
Oosa. All right, I can get the fuck off here because I cannot breathe. Take care of yourselves and take care of one another. We'll see you.
Bye-bye. The diarrhea is increasing.